Dear students, in this video lecture, I will teach you about Python list. This is the second part of the lecture. The link of the first part is mentioned in the description of this video. Now let's start.
Now we know how to add a new element at the end of an existing list. Now consider we have a list Y having the three elements A, B and C, and you want to add another element at the end of this list Y. For that you can use append method available in Python. So remember that append is a method and len is a function in Python. Now if you want to add another element at the end of the list Y, you will use append method. For that you need to write down the name of the list at first, then put a dot and write down append, and within append you need to mention the element that you want to add at the end of the existing list Y, and suppose this new element is D. So this will add the element D at the end of the list Y, and if you now want to check the elements present in the list Y, you can check this. So now the list Y has 4 elements A, B, C and D. Therefore append is a method which always adds a new element at the end of an existing list. Now if you want to insert an item at the specified index, for that you can use insert method in Python. So this is also a method. Okay, now suppose at the index position 1 you want to add some element. For that you need to write down Y, that is the name of the list, dot insert, and then you need to mention the index where you want to add the new element. Suppose the index is 1 where you want to insert a new element, and say the new element is 10. I am adding an integer value. Now if you want to know the elements in the list Y, you can check like this. So as you can see, at the index position 1 the integer 10 is there. So insert is a method which inserts or add an item at a specified index. Now suppose you want to remove an item from the existing list. Say you want to remove 10 from Y. For that you can use remove method available in Python. So to remove 10 from Y, you need to write down Y dot remove, and then you need to mention the element, and it will remove the element 10 from the list Y. As you can here see, now 10 is not here. Now another important thing that you need to keep in your mind, that if you want to remove an element, suppose you want to remove an element say 5 that is not present in the list, then you will get an error, and this is very obvious. There is another method available in Python for list that is known as pop. So pop is also a method in Python. The pop method removes the specified index or the last item if index is not specified. For example, if you write down y.pop, then it removes the element D from the list Y, because D is the last element present in the list Y. So if you execute this statement y.pop, it will return D, the last element of Y. Now if you specify the index of the element that you want to pop, then you will get that particular element. So y.pop1 gives you the element B because B is at the index 1. Now consider another list having 5 elements A, B, C, D, E, and the name of this list is Y. You can check the len of this list Y using the len function. So it show you 5 because Y has 5 elements A, B, C, D and E. Now there is a keyword del. So this is a keyword present in Python, and this keyword del removes the specified index. For example, if you write del y, and then if you mention within the square bracket the index say 3, then it will remove that particular element from y. Now if you check the element present in y, now you will get a, b, c and e, because the element d which was there in the list y with the index value 3, it is now removed. So now you cannot see the element d present in the modified list y. You can also use this del keyword to completely delete a list. For example, if you write down del y, then it will delete the entire list y, and if you now want to access the elements of y, then you will get an error because y is already deleted using the del keyword. Now suppose we have a list, my list, having 4 elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we want to clear all the elements from it. For that we have a method available in Python, that is clear. So clear is also a method available in Python which empties the list. And how do you use this method? For that you need to write down the list name. Here the list name is mylist dot clear, the method name, and it will empty the entire list. Now if you want to know the elements present in the list, you will see an empty list. This specifies the empty list. Now I will discuss an important concept in Python. Suppose we have a list X and the elements of this list are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now if you want to create another list having the same elements, and if you write this kind of assignment statement in Python, y equal to x, this will also create a list y in Python having the same elements as in x, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. But there is an interesting fact in Python. Now if you change the second element having the index 1 of y, suppose you change it to a new integer value 10, and if you now check the values in y, you can see that 2 is replaced by 10, and now if you check the values in x, you will be surprised that the values of x have also changed. And here you can see the second element of x is now modified to 10. So this is a strange feature in Python. Therefore, if you want to get a true copy of a list, then you need to use a method, and the name of the method is copy. So copy is a method available in Python. Suppose you want to create a list Z having the same elements as present in the list X. For that you need to use the copy method like this, Z equal to X dot copy. So this will create a true copy of the list X to another list Z. And if you now want to check the elements present in Z, it will show you 1, 10, 3, 4 and 5. And suppose if you now want to change the first element of Z, and the index of the first element in Python is always 0. So Z within square bracket 0 will modify the first element in Z, and suppose you want to modify it by a new value 50. And now if you check the elements present in the list Z, it will show you 50, 10, 3, 4 and 5. And since Z is a true copy of the list X, the values present in the list X now not changed. So here you can see the values present in the list X remain same. It is not altered by any kind of modification performed on the list Z. Another simple way to make a copy a true copy is to use the built-in method, that is list. So list is also a built-in method available in Python. Using this you can also create a true copy. Suppose W is a list and this is a true copy of the list X, and you can create the true copy using the list method like this. And if you now want to know the elements present in W, you can see all the elements present in X are also there in W. And if you change the first element to 100, then the list W will change, but the list X remains the same. So these are the two ways available in Python by which you can create a true copy. You can either use the copy method or you can use the list method to create a true copy of a list in Python. This is very important in Python. Now I will discuss how to join two lists in Python. Suppose we have a list 1 and the elements are A, B and C. We have another list 2, and the elements are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you want to join these two lists, list 1 and list 2 into another list, say list 3, then you need to simply write down list 1 plus list 2. This will join list 1 and list 2 to another list. Here it is list 3. And now if you want to know the elements present in the list 3, you can see that the elements are A, B, C, that is the elements of list 1, followed by the elements of list 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We have already discussed that how to add an element at the end of a list using append method. Now I will discuss another method, and this method is known as extend method. So extend is a method available in Python. This will add more than one element at the end of a Python list. For example, list 1, here is a Python list, and if you want to extend it by another list, say list 2, you can just do it like this: list 1 dot extend, and then you need to write down the second list name, that is list 2 here. And now if you check the elements present in list 1, it will show you A, B, C, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is the difference between this plus sign and the extend method? Whenever you are using this plus sign to join two lists, this will not modify the existing list. Here list 1 and list 2 are not modified. It creates a new list, and here the new list is list 3. But in case of extend method, you are extending the existing list, list 1, by list 2. So here you can see the elements of list 1 is modified or extended by the elements of the list 2. Let us consider a list X having the 5 elements 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And suppose you want to know the index of the element 3 in the list X. For that you need to use the index method available in Python. So you need to write down the name of the list, then put a dot and then write index and write down the element for which you want to know the index. So write down 3 and you will get the index of the element 3. As you can see, it is at the index 2. So you get the index 2 here. If you want to know the index of the last element, that is for the element 5, then you need to write down x dot index 5, and here you can see it will give the index as 4. Always remember that index gives you the positive index of an element, not the negative index, because you know in Python the negative index for the last element, here the element 5 is -1, but here you are getting the positive index as 4. So the index method in Python always gives you the positive index, not the negative index. Let us consider another property of Python list. Suppose we have a list y with these 5 elements 3, 2, 1, 4 and 5. Now if you want to get the sorted elements of this list, then you can use the sorted function available in Python. So the function name is sorted, and then you need to write down the list name. So it will give you the sorted elements in the list y. So here you can see the sorted elements are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now if you want to know the current elements present in the list y, you will be surprised. You can see that the elements in y are not sorted. So the sorted function will give you a new list, a new sorted list, but it will not change the original one. So you can save the sorted list in another variable like this. Suppose y1 is a variable where you want to keep all the sorted elements of y. So for that you need to write down y1 equal to sorted y. Now if you check the elements of y1, then it will give you the sorted elements present in the list y, but the elements in y are not changed or sorted. So this is very much important in Python. In Python, there exists another method known as the sort method, and this will sort the elements present in a list and it will modify the actual list also. So if you write down like this y.sort, then it will sort all the elements present in y. And now if you want to know the elements present in y, then you can get a sorted list. So this is the difference between sorted function and sort method in Python. Now suppose we have a list x and the elements are 3, 5, 4, 1 and 2. And you want to get the minimum element from the list x. So for that you need to use the min function available in Python. So min x will give you the minimum element present in x. So here you can see the minimum element is 1 and you are getting the output as 1. And if you want to get the maximum element, then you need to use the function max, and this will give you the maximum element, and here you can see the maximum element is 5. And suppose if you want to count the number of elements and if you want to know the length of the list, then you can use another function available in Python, that is len x. So len x will give you the length of the list. Length means the number of elements present in the list. So len of x will give you 5 because the list x contains 5 elements. Suppose we have a list y and the elements of this list are like this, and if you want to know the number of appearances of a particular element in the list y, then you need to use the count method available in Python. So for that you need to write down y, that is the name of the list, then you need to write down the method name. Here the method name is count, and then you need to mention the elements for which you want to count the number of appearances. Suppose the element is 3 and it will give you the output as 4, because as you can see in the list y, the element 3 appears 1, 2, 3 and 4 times. So y.count 3 gives you 4. Similarly, y.count 8 will give you 1 because 8 appears only once in the list y. Similarly, y.count 2 will give you 2 because 2 appears twice in the list y. This is the end of this video lecture. Please subscribe the channel, press the like button and share this video.